before finally defeating an ancient god together with Granny and her associates, and subsequently being cleared of any and all suspicion by the Chiseng. What a shame. A shame that we didn't meet sooner. If we had, well, I can't say that I would have been able to clear you of suspicion immediately. Allow me to introduce myself once more. I'm Yenfei, a legal advisor. Got a legal problem? You can come right to me. Oh, yes, here's my business card. You'll find it has my contact details and office address. Keep it handy. If you have an urgent issue, just leave me a note at this address. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, I offer a very generous discount for first-time customers.
All right, Yanfei, all right. Let's get to the business at hand. I do not think these two are in any dire need of legal assistance at the moment. You'll have to excuse Yanfei. She's always been like this, ever the talkative one when it comes to her own affairs.
Paimon was gonna ask the same question. You seem really different from the ones we've met before.
An Adeptus? I guess. Kinda. My old man said he was one anyway. He mentioned that he once campaigned with Rex Lapis for a long old time, and then after that was all over, he went back and married my mom. They had me, and once I was all grown up, the two of them upped and left on a journey, leaving me with Granny here.
Well, that's a bit casual for an Adeptus. Aren't you guys supposed to sign solemn contracts to protect Liyue Harbor and all that stuff? What do you mean he just went back to get married?
Well, my dad did say that he'd talked it through with Rex Lapis, and that he was fine with it. Even contributed towards the wedding gift, apparently. Anyway, let's not dwell on that too much. So, Granny, I've gotten a hold of most of the stuff you asked for, except for Smaragdus Jadeite. The chasm's been sealed off, and there's just no way in. Couldn't secure any documentation either. Looks like the Ministry of Civil Affairs...
Is that so? But Smaragdus Jadeite is real. Yanfei, are you sure you can't find some other way? They have helped Liyue greatly, after all. It is only right that they are...
I know, Granny, you've told me 1,000 times already. Well, the chasm's definitely a no-go, but there's still a chance we can figure out some alternative means of procurement. Hold on a moment. Let me have a look.
Whoa, that's a really thick book. What kind of things do you write in there?
Commercial consultancy. Or Snezhnaya. Ah, found him. Crossel! A Snezhnayan merchant who once came to me with some legal queries on certain articles in the legal codices. If my memory serves, all of them had to do with rare ores. He mentioned that he was considering acquiring some Smaragdus Jadeite to make hairpins, and wanted to know if there were any legal ramifications that he should be aware of. Said he was planning to sell them in So, I guess I'll go look for him. With any luck, he'll have gotten his hands on some Smaragdus Jadeite, or might have an idea of where we can find some. Oh, you want to join me? I suppose that's no problem, but it's best if you just...
Wow, an Adeptus imploring us to avoid incurring legal liability. Best we be a little more careful than usual.
Hello, Mr. Crossel. How's business been?
Oh, good, very good. All thanks to your advice, Miss Yanfei. What brings you here today?
You're too kind. I was simply doing my job. Now, I believe that the last time we met, you mentioned that you were looking...
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, in the end I did acquire a small piece of Smaragdus Jadeite, and had it... Miss Yanfei, might I presume that you have an interest in the hairpins? I must apologize. I've already rented them out to a lady named Chiao. If you'd like to inspect them, you may have to wait quite some time.
Wait, isn't Smaragdus jadeite really rare? Aren't you worried about the hairpins getting damaged or lost while they're being rented?
No, I'm not worried in the slightest, because I signed a contract with Ms. Chiao before renting them to her. The contract makes it quite clear that if she loses or damages the item in question, she must compensate me for its full original value. In return, I included a clause that guarantees the Smaragdus jadeite is genuine, with a penalty of 10 times the item's value payable by me to Ms. Chiao in the event that it is shown to be a fake.
Guaranteed genuine, with 10 times the value payable if this claim is shown to be false. Yes, these terms are very clear and...
Of course. This way, both the client and I have the assurance we need. To ensure fairness, each of us has retained an original copy of the contract.
In that case, might you know where Miss Chow lives? We'd like to pay her a visit and have a look at the hairpins.
Oh, of course. She wrote her address down when we signed our contract. Here, I'll mark it on.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Crossell.
I should open a store. Why'd they have to give me that transfer?
Oh, whatever shall I do? Yes, that's me. Is there something I can help you with?
How do you do, Mr. Chow? We understand from Mr. Crossell that you recently rented a pair of hairpins from him. My associates and I are very interested in them. Would you mind letting us take a look at them?
The hairpins? I can't lend them to you right now. I've lost them. I don't know how it could have happened. I always kept them right by my side, and I hadn't even worn them yet. I spent so much money on them. If I have to pay their original value... My family is in the ore business too, but business has been suffering ever since. We now have a backlog of paid-up orders just sitting around, so we've been having to purchase. A big banquet is coming up in a few days, and several ore merchants I know of will be there. I need this opportunity. That's what the hairpins were for, to keep up appearances. I can't have them looking down on me, but now that I've lost the hairpins, what will I do?
Why does Paimon have a sudden strong sense of deja vu?
Would you really? I sent a commission to the adventurers.
Hold on. Don't run off looking for the hairpins just yet. Miss...
Huh? Well, I mean...
Let me see.
That's right! Yanfei said she's a legal advisor, didn't she? True. Though...
Right. I finished reading the contract. The terms are very clear, and they do indeed stipulate that... Furthermore, the contract also expressly states that the amount of compensation must take... And given the rarity of Smaragdus jadeite, I fear that the final amount of compensation may end up being significantly higher as a result.
Even higher? Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Jichao looks like she's about to faint.
However, all of this is assuming that it is indeed genuine Smaragdus jadeite that was inlaid into the hairpins.
Did you really have to pause before saying that part? Anyway, the hairpins are lost, so how exactly would we be able to find out if the jadeite is genuine or not? Whichever way you look at it, we've got to start by finding hairpins.
Except that if we found the hairpins, there'd no longer be any need to check whether the jadeite is genuine, would there?
Seems right.
Please. Please, Don't trouble yourselves over this. The fact is, however much it is, I will have to pay it. My family are merchants, after all. It's vital that we keep our word and respect our contracts. Now that it's come to this, I really shouldn't keep Crossell in the dark any longer. I'll go and inform him of the issue, and then negotiate the amount of
Yes, legally speaking, it seems this is the most sensible course of action. But before that, I have some questions about the hairpins. So hold on a moment, Mr. Chow. When you first touched the hairpins, what did you feel?
What did I feel? Well, I remember that the gemstones set into the pins were perfectly smooth to the touch, like the finest. My family has seen much jade pass through its hands in the past, so...
Smooth to the touch. Finest qual... No, it's nothing. I just need to re-examine a few things. Let's head over to Mr.
Ah, Miss Yanfei, you've returned. With Miss Jiqiao in tow, too, I see. How are the hairpins? I trust you're quite satisfied. You lost them? Are you serious? Do you have any idea how expensive they were?
I'm sorry. Truly I am. I'll pay the compensation as per our contract.
Mora? Do you have any idea what I had to go through to get my hands on that smaragd? I just don't... Forget it. Talking won't bring them back. Since Miss Yanfei is here, I suppose we can...
No problem. But before I can give an official estimate, I'll need to do a little market research. It was in fact genuine smaragdus jadeite inlaid into the hairpin.
Of course! Genuine article guaranteed, or I pay back 10 times the...
All right, understood. I'll conduct some market research, and once I'm back, I'll provide an official assessment of the sum owed by Mr. Chow in compensation.
Thank you very much. How could she lose my hairpins? She'd better pay every last mora that they're worth.
Looks like I'll have to find some way to raise that money.
Please wait, Mr. Chow. I have something to discuss with... It's not convenient to speak here, so let's find somewhere that we can sit...
Try this time.
Oh there. Come and see these rare and precious curios.
I just like to make people smile.
Miss Yanfei, what is this about?
No. What I wanted to talk about is, there is a chance that the ore inlaid on those hairpins may not be...
What do you mean? Are you...
Obviously not. I'm no adventurer, let alone a member of the guild. I don't run thankless... I don't know if Granny told you this, but smaragdus jadeite is found deep underground and contains very concentrated elemental energy. If mere mortals come into contact with it, well, they'll be sick in the best case. And in the worst case, they could even experience a dramatic change of personality. Mr. Chow, did you at any time feel unwell while the hairpins were in your possession?
No, not at all. I felt perfectly fine the whole time. Not even the slightest bit unwell. I didn't feel anything special at all, in fact.
Now that is strange. I noticed earlier that there were elemental traces in Mr. Crossel's If I've deduced correctly, he may still have the Smaragdus Jadeite in his possession.
If that's the case, we should go confront him right now and expose his dirty scam right to his face!
Absolutely not. If we were to confront him now, there's no way he would admit to it. Eventually, he would... And then, he'd throw the Smaragdus Jadeite into the sea the moment we... After that, he would simply insist that Mr. Chow pay up per the contract. Meanwhile, we would have to look under every stone in Liyue, hoping and praying that the hairpins do actually still exist somewhere in...
So vivid that Paimon thinks it might be
Oh, it certainly is. I've seen my fair share of situations like this, and brute force methods are certainly one way of resolving them. Fortunately, I have far more elegant solutions at my disposal. I'll share them with you in due course.
Well then, since you're so experienced in dealing with problems like this, perhaps you could help me, Miss Yunfei.
Oh, that won't be a problem. But first, Mr. Chow, can I...
Huh? Does there have to be a contract? It feels like Yanfei is even more concerned with them than a certain...
These are my formal terms of engagement. Everything prior to now has just been pro bono advice. But for me to investigate any further, I require a written contract. Any work commissioned but not bound by a contract cannot be relied upon.
I understand. Then I will be glad to place this matter into your capable hands if you will take it, Miss Yunfei.
No problem. Just sign here, and I'll sign too. Okay. Now write your address here, and I'll also need your signatures on pages 5, 7, and on the very last page. Finally, if you could just use this ink pad to make a handprint over here.
This contract has so many pages!
Alright, that should do it. My fees are the same as always, and they're written in the contract. Have a look through and let me know if you have any questions.
I've had a read through. Everything checks out.
Well then, here's your copy of the contract. I will retain the other copy. Not for now, no. Despite how intractable this problem might sound, I don't believe you have been part of an investigation like this before, in which...
Miss Yunfei, I have to ask.
Because, as it happens, I'm currently trying to acquire some Smaragdus Jadeite myself. I noticed strong traces of geoenergy around Mr. Whether he actually made it into an item of jewelry or not is a separate matter. But either way, it's a lead. As long as we follow it, who knows? We might just be able to get our hands on some... Also, the idea of someone abusing the law... But again, let's not dwell on this. Let's go to... Ah, I've got it! Let's pay a visit to Chateau, the boss of the Jade Mystery. He's a professional when it comes to working with stone and ore. If Mr. Crossell had his ore worked on at all, Chateau would undoubtedly have been his first choice.
Try your luck betting on Jade?
Why, hello there, honored customers. Welcome to... Oh, it's you, Miss Yanfei. Is something the matter? Surely not more spurious claims that my jade betting is rigged and no one can ever win?
No, nothing of the sort. Has a Snezhnayan merchant named Crossell enlisted your ore processing services?
A Snezhnayan merchant named Crossell, you say? I do remember that. He brought me a piece of ore, claiming that it was Smaragdus Jadeite. That was the first time I'd ever encountered it, so I had no way of telling if it was really Smaragdus Jadeite or not. He was quite generous with his money, too, so I didn't give it too much thought. I processed the ore as per his request.
do you have any leftover?
Why, yes. It was my first time encountering this ore, after all, so...
Thank you, sir. We'll take a look at them.
Huh? If my eyes don't deceive me, the cross-sections and patterning suggest that these are Smaragdus nephrite shavings. Yes, it's not particularly rare, nor is it especially... I've heard it said that Smaragdus nephrite is in fact the outer layer of Smaragdus jadeite.
A thin layer of separation, huh?
If you must see for yourself, try examining these shavings for traces of elemental energy. Smaragdus nephrite is an entirely ordinary ore, containing no elemental energy whatsoever.
Is that so? Well, So, did you find anything? So they really are different. But wait, how come
There's nothing special to it. It just so happens that I've come across a great... These two stones actually look very similar. Someone without a deep understanding of them would find it very difficult to tell them apart. There may be only a subtle difference for the casual viewer, but that translates to an astronomical difference in terms of the market price. And, I'm sure, a significant difference in the cost of having them carved into shape.
All right, let's focus up. We're going off on a tangent.
But, never mind, Shirto. Why would Mr.
Unusual actions have unusual reasons behind them. Let's take some of these shavings back to Chateau.
Miss Yenfei? Might I be so bold as to inquire?
If you could just confirm for me once more, sir. Mr. Crossell did indeed claim that the ore he brought to your store was in fact Smaragdus jadeite.
Yes, that's right. I still have a record of the job with me, in fact. Here. It's...
Then I have no further questions. But could I borrow the processing record and these stone shavings?
Of course.
Oh, I have my reasons. Yes. Please sign here on this affidavit. This document shall serve as signed proof that these stone shavings originated from the, ore that Mr. Crossell brought to your store.
Yes, I see.
I wouldn't say there's been an incident, just a minor issue. Thank you, sir.
With this hard evidence to back us up, Crossell won't dare...
On the contrary, this is far from sufficient to build a case. We need to find... If you want to make jewelry, you need a professional jewelsmith. Let me think. Jewelry... Aha! Got it! Singxi. She often helps people to find a jewelsmith.
Well, that was quick. How come you know so many people?
Because lots of people come to me for legal advice every day. As you know, Liyue Harbor is the city of contracts. And contracts, well, I should say laws, are very... But the amendments made by the Tianquan to our laws are unnecessarily complicated. How can I put this? As such, legal advisors like myself provide quite the popular service indeed.
So you help them make sense of the law. But
Yes, well, that's no obstacle, because I've memorized all the legal codices. You sound surprised. Knowing the law inside out is a legal advisor's bread and butter, you know? Oh, this has nothing to do with being an adeptus. I just like reading things.
Again, with that casual tone.
Well, that's that then. Let's go look for Singxi.
Oh, Miss Yenfei, it's you. Has something happened?
Have no further trouble from then on? Yes, of course. Has a merchant by the name of Crossell asked you to put him in contact with a jewelsmith?
Crossell. Yes, I remember him. He's a merchant from Snezhnaya, no? Yes, he came to me with the design of the hairpins that he gave me was quite intricate, so it took me some work to find someone who was up to the job. Eventually, I found an older jewel. This order was on hold for a very long time. and only completed quite recently.
Doesn't seem like there's any evidence to be found here.
Miss Inksy, I'd like for you to confirm for me once more. When Mr. Crossell commissioned you to find him a jewelsmith, did he or did he not assert that the material he presented to you that day was called smaragdus jadeite?
Yes, I'm sure of it. The hairpins were made using many expensive materials, and the asking price was quite high, so we had to put this transaction on record with the Ministry of Civil Affairs. Mr. Crossell wasn't very familiar with the necessary procedures, so I filed it on his behalf. I also kept a copy for my own records. See for yourself, the item is called smaragd. The inlaid gemstone is recorded as smaragdus jadeite.
Thank you, Sinksy. Now, could you let me borrow this document?
Sure, it isn't serving much purpose here anyway.
Nothing you need to worry about, just a minor issue. I'll return your document.
Why is everyone's first reaction always to assume someone or something?
I believe we have almost all the evidence we need. We just need to make one last trip. Let's go to
The weirdo with the snake around his neck?
because only he can provide an authoritative statement confirming that smaragdus jadeite is harmful to the human body. Once we have this final piece of evidence in our hands.
My, to what do I owe the pleasure? Though I'm afraid that if you're looking for our little Cheech, and if it isn't Miss Yenfei as well, now that's an even rarer honor. What business brings you here, might I inquire?
No. I'm here this time to ask if you're familiar with smaragdus jadeite.
Smaragdus jadeite? Why, yes, there is some information about it included in the Seven Mountain Treatises states that this substance springs forth from stone marrow. It is abundant in elemental energy, so if someone without a vision is in contact with it for a prolonged period... Anyway, I'm sure you didn't come all this way just to chit-chat. Knowing you, Yenfei, and given the specific... I suppose that you're about to ask me to write an official affidavit attesting to the pharmaceutical peculiar...
That is indeed the case. If you would be so kind, Dr. Baiju.
No trouble at all. It's just a single document. Won't take me a moment. I would mention, though, that you are not the only one who's developed a curiosity for smaragdus jadeite recently. But after I gave him my reply, his expression... I wonder, Miss Yenfei...
You needn't concern yourself about that, Dr. Baiju. Thank you for penning us that document.
You're too kind. Take care now.
That Baiju guy is as weird as ever. Is it just Paimon, or does it feel like he was fishing for something back there?
Dr. Baiju's always been like that. Well, we have the evidence we need.
Please,
Let's
show
go
me
find
your
Mr.
prescription.
Crossell.
A blade embraces its duty, as a jeweler cherishes their gems.
Please, show me your prescription.
So this is a day in the life of the traveler. I'm learning more about you all the time.
Please, show me your prescription.
A blade embraces its duty, as a jeweler cherishes their gems. blade is like a tea leaf. Only those who sample it many times can
Please,
appreciate
show
its
me your
true
prescription.
qualities.
It tastes gross.
Miss Yanfei, have you finished your investigation? I trust you will now be in a position to assess the...
Yes, my investigation is indeed concluded. I can now...
Wonderful. Well then, please, could you...
Of course. According to the stipulations of the contract, Mr. Crossell, you must pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original transaction price in Mora.
Sure. Wait, what? Me pay her?
Not at all. According to my investigations and the material evidence that we've gathered, the substance claimed to be Smaragdus Jadeite that was inlaid within the Smaragdus Jadeite twin phoenix pins that you rented out to Mr. Chow was, in fact, Smaragdus Nephrite. Now, the contract states very clearly that 10 times the price shall be paid should the article not be genuine. Accordingly, you are liable for this sum, which is payable to Mr. Chow in Mora.
Material evidence? What material evidence? Why, Miss Yanfei, you cannot frame me like I spent a huge sum to obtain that Smaragdus Jadeite, and yet you claim that the ore inlaid on the hairpins is somehow fake? I demand—
Indeed. Only a testimony from an expert witness involved in the processing of the ore can serve as an authoritative assessment of whether it is genuine. Traveler, please produce the evidence in question. If we want to determine whether the ore is genuine, we need to start with evidence from the Jade Mystery. Clearly, you still have a few things to learn about this aspect of legal proceedings. This is a processing record from the Jade Mystery, along with stone samples and an affidavit signed by the business owner, Chateau.
Seriously? Even the boss there couldn't differentiate between Smaragdus Jadeite and Smaragdus Nephrite. In any case, Smaragdus Nephrite is the outer layer of Smaragdus Jadeite. So I had him cut away the nephrite, he returned the valuable jadeite core to me, and some nephrite samples remain in the store. What am I missing exactly?
That's an unsubstantiated...
Well, your claim that my ore is fake is just as unsubstantiated. And we all...
Ugh. Looks like our first piece of evidence didn't convince him at all. Seems like he came prepared. What should we do next?
Hard evidence, something legally binding. We have just the thing. Show him, Traveler.
This document proves that my hairpins are the real deal, doesn't it? This is the Ministry's seal, after all.
Our second piece of evidence didn't work either. And this guy's getting more belligerent.
You know, you could be right. Perhaps the hairpins are the...
Of course I'm right. All the evidence shows...
Well, hang on a moment now, because I do recall one final piece of evidence that we haven't revealed yet. Traveler, would you do the honors?
What?
Smaragdus Jadeite springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains and will bring disaster to any mere mortals who touch it. Sustained contact with Smaragdus Jadeite over a prolonged period will, in less serious cases, cause a mild malady, while in serious cases, the patient may suffer a dramatic change of personality. Mr. Crossell, were you aware of these peculiar properties of Smaragdus Jadeite?
I had no idea.
No idea, you say? I'd guessed as much. But for you to have rented out such a dangerous item, I'm afraid that this falls outside the scope of my work, but within that of the Ministry of Civil Affairs. However, I'm sure that the Ministry will be relatively lenient considering that, as you say, don't worry, Mr. Crossell, I will make sure that all the evidence presented, I trust that you'll give them your full cooperation in their—
What? Wait! Wait!
Oh, so you knew? Oh, dear Mr. Crossell. But if you knew of Smaragdus Jadeite's dangerous property—
Huh? No,
aren't actually inlaid with genuine Smaragdus Jadeite? You do understand, Mr. Crossell, that this means that you will have to pay Ms. Zerchow 10 times the original price in Mora? Mr. Crossell, your answer, please. My client and I are waiting.
Yep, he's seriously intimidating right now. It's
I admit it. I confess. The ore I had inlaid on those hairpins was Smaragdus Nephrite. But I'm a victim in all of this, too. I invested a great deal of time and money into acquiring that small amount of Smaragdus Jadeite, in the hopes of turning it into a piece of jewelry that would fetch a fine... But after receiving it and carrying it around for a few days, I started to feel extreme discomfort. I went to Boo Boo Pharmacy to get myself checked out, only to discover that this sort of stone cannot be worn as jewelry. That's why I had another pair of hairpins made from Smaragdus Nephrite, which is almost indistinguishable from Smaragdus Jadeite. I kept the real Smaragdus Jadeite in a specially made box. I daren't touch it again. I was worried that someone would see through it, which is why I only dared to rent them out, not sell them. And then to top it all off, Zhiqiao lost—
Exactly! If they weren't the real deal, why'd you make her pay so much?
I didn't want to either, but when I purchased that Smaragdus Jadeite, some of my business partners found out. I knew they'd be watching. If word got out that I sold a pair of fake hairpins, then...
All right, let's cut the appeals phase right there. I failed to see what bearing any of this has on your transaction with my client. According to the contract, you must pay Ms. Zerchow 10 times the original price in Mora, and...
10 times?
Crossell looks like he could faint any second.
As for me, according to my contract with Ms. Zerchow, 20% of that sum will go to me.
20%? That's as much as I spent on that—
There's no need. It's fine. You don't have to pay me. Even if the Smaragdus Jadeite on those hairpins was fake, I still bear responsibility for losing them. Legally or not, I think I owe some compensation for...
Ms.
However, Mr. Crossell, since you have no use for that chunk of Smaragdus Jadeite...
What? But all right.
Miss Yunfei, I'll turn the Smaragdus Jadeite over to you.
Well, that's not quite how the rules say this should go.
Thanks so much for your help this time, Miss Yunfei. When you have the time, I'll be sure to...
Oh, come on. No need to stand on ceremony. Now, if I may confirm this again, Mr. Chow, have you and Mr. Crossell come to an understanding?
Well, yes, I believe we have.
Well then, that's good. Mr. Crossell, it seems that my client has no further claims against you.
Is that so? That's good. That's good.
Actually, Mr. Crossell, I'd like to talk business for a second, if I may. I could see from the hairpins you produce that you're very skilled in jewelry design. My family, on the other hand, works in the... If we could join forces, your jewelry designs and our...
Well, that's that. And we've got the Smaragdus Jadeite that Granny wants too. All's well that ends well, eh?
Exactly. Usually when someone tells us they've lost something, we end up searching all over the place for it. But this time, you managed to solve the problem with just a big stack of documents. Even though the solution didn't involve actually finding the hairpins.
The right solution depends on your perspective on the problem. The objective of my client, Mr. Chow, was to reduce her liability to pay compensation. So, rather than looking high and low for some hairpins, proving that the rented item was nowhere near worth what the vendor had claimed it to be was the more efficient solution. An Adeptus. Speaking of, you took part in that battle, didn't you? In which case, you would have heard what Granny said. Liyue Harbor is now a city ruled by humans. The title of Adeptus means precious little to me compared. In any case, don't you think that the Liyue Harbor of today needs legal consultancy far more than it needs Adeptal?
Paimon can think of someone who would definitely disagree with your reasoning.
Well, since we got what we came for, it's time to pay Granny a visit. I bet she's been on tenterhooks for a while now.
Why'd they have to give me that transfer? I should have understood.
This is a clear fire hazard right here.
You've returned. How did it go? Were you good? Good. Then,
Well, if we're all set, Granny, I'll get going now. Got a ton of clients.
oh, you. All right then.
I'm off then. Bye! Oh, yes, Traveler. Make sure you don't lose the business card I gave you. I've been looking into the laws of other nations as well. If you should ever bump into any trouble with the law...
Come now, child. Are you leaving or are you not? If you have no wish...
I'm leaving! I'm leaving!
That child. Goodness knows. Indeed she is. Li Yanfei might be overly garrulous, but she is also the most intimately acquainted. Liyue is not the same place I want. All right then. Let us speak of this no more.
Oh, Paimon's so excited!
It is but a sing. There we go. Hold it firmly. If you were to drop it, oh goodness, who knows what might happen. Take these blueprints with you as well. You'll need them if you wish to make your teapot a...
Wait a minute, Granny! How exactly are we supposed to use this teapot?
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I've already arranged for a certain little...
too. Huh. But there's just a whole load of nothing around it. Paimon can't do that! Well, you're the one with the sword anyway. You do it! Still, why is it so empty here apart from that house? Oh, wait a second. What is that?
Well, it seems
it's a huge finch!
Excuse me, I am not a finch. Hang on a moment. Oh, call me. I suppose you may call me...
So you're the little helper.
Madam Ping? Oh, you must mean Ping. Yes, she did some. You may leave all matters regarding the upkeep of this realm to me. Your journey may be far from over, but at least this way you will... Though it is the Adepti who create realms such as this, they generally do. Thus, we teapot spirits were created. You may consider... Now, allow me... Have you any blueprints on you? Specific, as long as you have a blueprint, you can
Blueprints? Oh, that's right! Granny handed...
Yes, these are the blueprints. Just commit the image of the objects to... Then simply release the thought from your mind and the object in the blue...
Wow! Is that all it takes? Then we could build a whole city in...
I doubt it. A golden-eyed adeptus explained that... He said that even though subspace creation is... This world is not a true one, after all. It provides...
A golden-eyed adeptus?
I hardly remember myself. What's more... Well, let's not dwell on that. If there's anything you would like...
A blade embraces its duty, as a jeweler cherishes their gems. A blade embraces its duty, as a jeweler cherishes their gems.
Rain outlines your fate. By royal decree. Time to act. Take flight! Whirling snow! My apologies! Whirling snow! No, my sword! Oz, reveal thyself! My apologies! It's unthinkable! By royal decree!
Another
reveal
test
by-
subject.
Whirling snow! Yeah! Ha! Yeah! By royal decree! I summon thee! No, my sword!
You're open.
My apologies!
I got careful.
Oz, reveal thyself! By royal decree! Take flight!
Time for retribution!
Rain outlines your fate! My apologies! Take flight! Oz, reveal thyself! No, my sword!
to make people smile.
Honey, just call me. Plain stupid.
Whirling snow! I let my guard down. Rain outlines your fate. By royal decree.
A blade is like a tea leaf. Only those who sample it many times can appreciate its true qualities.
I try this time.